the door. I'm live. Welcome back. How y'all doing today? So this gonna be a recap on P Diddy trial because I didn't really get a chance to go live yesterday. I was tired. I was literally exhausted yesterday. And you know what? It's these bifocals in my glasses that make them do that. I just finally figured it out. And you can see that. Are they crooked? I don't know. Anyway, so apparently the word on the street is this. Apparently the defense and the prosecution got into it today because the defense doesn't want to give the prosecution all they discovery and their strategy on the questions that they gonna ask Cassie. And the judge ruled that they didn't have to give them that. Let me see. And they were going back and forth, and pretty much the defense was like, you get it when we give it to you. And the judge ruled in their favor. I was like, wow. Let me see. But I always thought that in a court case that both the prosecution and the defense have to give their discovery based on the Brady law. So maybe I was wrong. I don't know. Mm, let me see. I'm trying to get this from. Hold on, let me get my notes. My notes. They not in order anymore. Okay, so when they rented the hotel rooms, okay. So when they rented the hotel rooms, when they left, apparently each hotel room was always covered with baby oil, blood, and condoms. And they always had drugs. And she even talked about how she got hooked on pills and she ended up going to rehab in 2018 to get off those pills. She liked ecstasy, but she preferred ketamine because it would just numb her to the point where she wouldn't know what was going on. And she said that there was a total of 13 escorts that they used all the time, not wearing condoms. And when they would come in her or ejaculate in her or on her belly or whatever, he would take her into another room where she would have to take it out, and then he would rub their semen on his nipples and chest. That's some sick shit. I'm sorry. That is sick. That is just ridiculous. That's just nasty. And she also said that I guess the freak offs were like every week, and the longest one was like 4 days. And she would have sores in her mouth from, doing all that fellatio and stuff like that. And she would have bad urinary tract infections that was so painful, while she was doing these things as well. Let me see. She said that he controlled what she wore, her clothes. It was constant physical abuse. And the defense was like the use of baby oil is not a crime. That's what they said. Oh, and then he would have the escorts pee in her mouth. If that ain't the nastiest shit ever. And you with all these people not wearing nan condom or anything like that because she ain't have much pregnant now with her third child. I mean, and then she said she only received $20 million because she wrote a book. Like when she was in rehab, she wrote a book about all the things she went through, and they didn't take her seriously. And she sent it to him to read. And she called his assistants, like, did he read the book? She was like, hell no, because they really didn't respect her. They thought she was stupid as hell. And it wasn't until she went and got lawyers and filed suit that he went ahead and paid her the $20 million to keep her quiet. But now you subpoenaed to go to court. That outweighs the NDA. Let me see. Oh, she said he raped her when they broke up for the last time. I guess he came back to see her and said that he raped her in 2019 and just took it. And she kept saying, no, 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 no. However, at the same time, doing all this back and forth, she kept sending him text messages saying she loved him. So it's going to be real interesting when the defense questions her. Because it's a good chance. They ain't proved Rico, ain't Rico nowhere. Because it's just like R. Kelly. I ain't never heard of a Rico or one, just one person. So that's interesting because it's not Rico. It's domestic violence, is what I see. Because these are consensual adults. However, now the part where they get drugged at and make them inhabited, that's questionable. But at the same time, I could see him getting off on this. I really could. One time, she said he dropped her on her face and broke open her face where she had to have plastic surgery because she didn't want to do a freak off. And she was sleeping when he came to her house because they never lived together. She had her own place, but he had a key, and she didn't want to. So he picked her up and threw her on the floor and broke open her face, and she had to have plastic surgery. Let me see. Now she did start messing with Kid Cudi because remember it's a rumor out there that he blew up Kid Cudi car, which he did, and she talked about that today. When he found out about her, he when he found out about her and Kid Cudi, he trashed her rooms and he urinated all on her clothes. He sent an email to her mom and said he was going to release the sex tape on her to embarrass her, and that he was going to unalive her and Kid Cudi. And right after he blew up Kid Cudi car, I guess they met, and Kid Cudi asked him, "Well, what about my car?" And he was like, "What about it?" So that was that. Oh, and when Suge Knight came to I guess, New York City, him and his bodyguard, she said they ran and got the hammers. the guns to get with Suge Knight. I guess they was gonna try to take out Suge Knight. That's what she insinuated. And what he would do to keep her in line and in control is always threaten to release the sex tapes, on her that he had on her to keep her in line. He would use that as blackmail. Oh, that said the male escort peed in her mouth. Ugh. And while these freak offs were taking place, he would sit in a corner and pleasure himself. And while she was on the stand, she cried when they started showing screenshots of the video. They weren't going to play it because the judge said you cannot play the video because it was used for blackmail. But they did like still shots, you know. And that's when she cried. And the judge wouldn't allow the video to be played. So the freak offs was no condoms. Um, okay, I said that part how you take the semen and put it on his chest. I think that's pretty much. Let me see. Oh, and in the sex videos, he would dress her up like looking like a hooker, and that's pretty much how she looked. And the prosecution was saying that he made her believe like she was his girlfriend, but he really didn't care about her. I don't, look, he the type of man he like women, but he hate women, and he hate women because he like men. Just be who you are. It's 2025. Yep, I think that's about it. What the day 2 and 3. Oh, let me see here. Okay. I'm gonna be doing this real quick, child. Because my next guest just testified before a federal grand jury. He says he possessed of a trove of digital evidence. Says a friend him 11 flash drives that belonged to the late Kim Porter. And if you follow this story, you'll know that Kim Porter is Diddy's ex-girlfriend and the mother of 4 of his kids. On those drives, the witness says 8 videos featured 8 celebrities at Diddy free concert parties, and that 6 were males, 2 were females. The drive also included a manuscript of an alleged Kim Porter memoir, a memoir that her 4 kids insist is fake. Courtney Burgess told his story on a podcast before he told the grand jury today, and after he told the grand jury, and I mean immediately after, he booked it over to my set, and he and his attorney talked to me. I should tell you that he was very limited in how much detail he could go into about his testimony. And because the 8 people in the videos, the 8 celebrities in the videos were allegedly victims of sex crimes, we know who they are, but we will not be naming them, famous or not. Here now is my conversation with Courtney Burgess and Ariel Mitchell, who's his attorney, beginning with the question of whether the participants in the video even knew they were being recorded. Were there any cameras in places where you'd assume privacy, like bathrooms?
Yeah, well, I've never been in this house, but the picture, yes. That's what took place.
You're aware of surreptitious cameras that were recording in private places like bathrooms.
I didn't see the cameras. You could tell how the person was angled. I knew that it was a camera there because I was there. I was there. I don't know if the person was too tall, if he was holding it or whatever, but I wasn't there. May I ask you this, Courtney? And Ariel, you can jump in on this as well, but I want to hear from Courtney first. Your home was raided by federal authorities, and I assume it is because of this material. Is that true? I wouldn't say that. They just went to every one of them looking for me. They said the paperwork said the 24th, that I had to be there the 28th, and then it was the 27th. I said, I can't make it there. That's tomorrow. So I don't know. From the look of it, it was 4 days.
And I want to be specific. Yes, when we talk about a raid, we're talking about when a subpoena is served for documents, a search warrant, or an arrest warrant. In this situation, Mr. Burgess was not in any way, shape, or form had a search warrant or an arrest warrant issued for him. It was just them serving a subpoena. So when the federal government needs to serve a subpoena, they use the Marshal Service to come to all of your residences if you have more than one residence. So in this situation, they sent marshals to all of Mr. Burgess's residences, and that was somehow construed or understood or turned into a raid, but he did not face a raid. It was just to serve him a subpoena.
Ariel, do you believe that the subpoenas were issued and executed based on the federal authorities' knowledge that these flash drives existed and had this kind of compromising material?
I think it was based on statements that Mr. Burgess made in a prior interview.
And those statements include descriptions of what the witness says he saw on those tapes. So I asked him about that, and he answered what he could, given the limitations imposed on him after testifying in the grand jury. 6 men, celebrities, were close to being underage or potentially underage. 2 males.
Wow.
And of those 8 celebrities, how many of them were intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
This is going to be all speculation. I just want to preface it by he wouldn't know if they were. Right.
Sure.
Appeared to
Let me rephrase
right.
it.
Based on, yes.
Understand. Out of the 8 celebrities who were recorded having intimate relations with Sean Combs, how many of them appeared to be either inebriated or intoxicated or under the influence? All of them. Out of those 8, how many appeared to be potentially victimized? How many might have been victimizing?
I think all, to be honest, all.
Were victims
They
or
victims.
were perpetrating?
Victims.
They were all 8 were victimized.
Yeah.
Meaning
Victim.
this was happening to them and they were inebriated.
Right. Not knowing, I guess, how much proof it was in it, what they was doing.
And of those 8, how many seemed to be potentially minors?
2 to 3, possibly 3.
2 to 3. Also on the flash drives, Courtney, was what looked to be a manuscript written by, it appears to be a woman who had taken Kim Porter's private journals and had written a book. Is that accurate?
We don't know.
I don't know
how. Yeah.
I don't know how who wrote it, put it together, but it was from her when I spoke to
Okay, we gonna leave that one alone. Now this Diddy's former bodyguard. This is what he had to say.
Gotten in between things of this nature before, and this was back in 2012. So that's why I was so adamant on what I said yesterday after he posted that apology, because it comes a time where it's like you can't just say anything you want to say and think that people gonna accept it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a God syndrome. You know, the same way that he's been in a lot of trouble before and you could pay your way out. He knew those cameras was there. You know, but of course, as we heard, he came back to the hotel and he paid to get the footage, but didn't know, which Cassie said inside her complaint, that they gave her a copy of the footage also. You know what I'm saying? So when you go through life just paying your way out, I really feel like he wasn't sorry about that. Yeah, he might be sorry now. He's sorry that he got caught.
Right, but that part.
If that was
I'm
a one-time
incident,
then I would say accept his apology. But I think in that apology, he said what he thought people wanted to hear.
How many times did you personally witness him be violent towards women?
Around 4 or 5 times.
And was that all with Cassie, or was it Cassie and other women?
I seen him with Cassie, and I seen him with Kim Porter, his kid's mother.
Right, who's now sadly no longer with us. But what did you see him do?
I've seen him get physical. I've seen him get really physical, grab him up. It was one time that Cassie mentioned inside her lawsuit where she said she had to go over to the London hotel. I was the one that was checking on her every day at the London hotel. You know what I'm saying? So I know that to be true. I seen him get into some wrestling and punching matches. And sometimes I felt like, what are you mad at? What are you upset about? Because it's a deeper anger when you hitting and punching a woman in that type of manner. And it's okay. It's understood if you have a problem with one woman and you seek things, but when you have a problem with every woman that you're dealing with, then I think that problem is inside of you.
What did you see him do with Kim Porter?
I seen him inside the car, grab her up. I seen him smack her, you know. And one thing about Kim bodyguard. Kim got to the point where she fought back because she realized how powerful she was. It was one incident on Sunset Boulevard in front of the Beverly Hills Hotel where I just seen the car rocking back and forth. You know, of course, he put everybody out the car, but I seen the car shaking, so I opened the door. I said, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing? You see where we at, and what are you doing? And Kim got out the car like nothing happened, and she fixed her hair, and she told him, she said, I want to see you explain to the media the scratch I'm going to put across your face if you put your hands on me again.
Wow.
And that was Kim's attitude. Kim's attitude was, she realized that what he had to explain meant more to him than anything. And once she realized she had that power, she said, nah, not no more. Because you're going to have to explain why you all marked up.
Wow. So that's why he didn't do all those things to Kim. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, so this is real interesting. Like I said, if he get off, this was definitely a humiliation ritual. It's just going to be real interesting how the defense plays this. But I'm sure because all them text messages that she said that she loved him after doing all of these things, but he never cared for her. He had no respect for her. Not at all. Now, don't get me wrong. Kim Porter did do some threesomes because she said that. Let me see. What is this? I think this is. Oh, here it is.
You think I was gonna get at you from the inside?
Reached out to a an alleged participant in multiple freak-offs.
To intimidate people off.
Don't be shocked if nobody show up to testify.
Defendant's goal is to blackmail victims and to silence or providing testimony helpful to his defense.
New York is having a problem with phone calls where he's calling witnesses. Things are getting out of control, and you won't believe what he says on these calls. Recently, the DA released that Diddy was contacting witnesses from jail, and they were saying this is the reason that he shouldn't get bail. He was using other inmates' phone calls to three-way people who would then call the witnesses, and that's who he spoke to over the phone. There's legal documents that back up everything they said about how Diddy runs the jail, and he gets inmates to do whatever he wants. Also, in a weird turn of events, the DA who brought these charges against Diddy is suddenly resigning from his position during the biggest case of his career. career, and that is strange. I don't know if Diddy got to him.
That is not strange. He resigned because Trump won the election and he was going to be replaced anyway. That's why he resigned.
And his family, or what would make him step down. But this case just keeps getting weirder and crazier. So let's break down this insane phone call that we found online and see if we can figure out what he's saying and who he's talking to. Legal disclaimer, people. I'm just a guy that reacts to stuff I find on the internet. So as of right now, there's gossip or opinions of until right.
Check this out.
Not exactly sure who he's called, but the DA said he was using other inmates' phone codes and calling people who were not on his list of allowed contacts. So he's clearly not caring what the rules of the prison are at this point. He wanted to talk to this person regardless.
Nah. With all due respect, my brother, how is your wife doing? I heard she's spending a lot of time on the farm, and she loves talking to a pig. I told you when I went on this little road trip, I wasn't going to invite you, but I could change my mind.
Now, Diddy's talking in code right here, but he mentions the word pigs, which we all know is code word for cops. And in court documents, they stated this. While at the MDC, the defendant has instructed family and third parties to contact multiple potential victims and witnesses. The defendant has been, which, as described above, are difficult to monitor and often using coded language. Diddy also states taking a road trip, which I'm thinking is him being arrested, and that he could invite this guy on the trip. So saying like, I could snitch on you and bring you if I want to.
Everything all good, just can't talk right now. Now, how about I just talk and you listen? You told me the storm would just come and go if I lay down, stay quiet. But the weather seemed to be getting worse. You know, I could be catching a cold, so I need to make sure you send me some vitamin E in my steak cereal.
So the code talk continues, and he's talking about weathering the storm, and if he laid quiet, it would all just go away. I'm assuming he's talking about the trial. If he doesn't snitch on anyone above him, then they'll make the trial go away if he stays quiet. Even Diddy's lawyers are frustrated with him because he keeps breaking the rules behind their back and making things difficult for them trying to get him bail. Not to mention the fact that the judge even mentioned that the lawyers are lying for Diddy and making them contact people that are not on his approved list.
The defendant also frequently instructs individuals who he contacts by telephone, including family members and his attorneys, to add other individuals via three-way call. So you're trying to say his attorneys is calling three-way too?
Not exactly sure what he means by vitamin E or special K cereal, but if you guys know or decode it, leave it in the comments.
Relax, something through, but everything will be back up soon. Just keep your family, you got soon. I'm doing the same thing for Thanksgiving. Make sure you send it straight to the Shade Room and TMZ. Make me look like a good father, and all I need is one juror to be on my side. This case is over.
Now, Diddy mentioned that Diddy made a post on his IG.
Why? Now he said all I need was one juror to be on my side and this case to be over. Now that made me wonder why Johnny Depp lawyer was picked to be on the jury. Wow. One jury to be right, because it'll be a hung jury, but then you're gonna be retried again.
They try to make him look real good. His entire team actually advised him against doing this. But again, Diddy went against his lawyers and frustrated them by doing it anyway.
And he allegedly ignored his lawyers when they told him not to do the social media campaign around his birthday, but he wanted to do it anyway.
Say happy birthday, Daddy.
I love y'all. so much.
We love you too.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, the video is kind of cute with the kids, but I don't see how that would make a juror think, oh yeah, he's not guilty because his kids are cute. Like, it just doesn't really make sense. On the other hand, if he's trying to make efforts to reach out to other online publications to post this stuff to make him look good, it just doesn't look good if you're doing this from the inside.
So make sure that Amazon delivery back on schedule. Then there won't be no need for us to talk. Just chill. I told you, but get it done. You know, I've been thinking about watching a movie lately. It's called Eyes Wide Shut. Have you seen it? It's got a
Ooh,
real famous celebrity in there, don't it?
Eyes Wide Shut. It's a movie with a. Ooh, that means he gonna release a sex tape on whoever he called. Damn.
Yeah, Tom Cruise. What's your point? Is that who it is? Man, I thought it was a different celebrity. I guess it might have been a different movie. You know, I got a lot of movies on my mind sometimes, and I get the actors confused. Some of these actors are so good, they act like they don't even know they're being recorded. Your wife did a few movies, did she?
He mentions the movie Eyes Wide Shut.
Dang. He
And
said
makes
your
statements
wife
about
did a few
going
movies.
into private elite parties where everybody's wearing masks and hooking up with each other. They're doing rituals on people, and it's actually really close to what people are saying happens at Diddy's freak-off parties. We know police have recovered plenty of freak-off videotapes and even interviewed people that they saw on the tapes to find out all the details of what happens. And we don't know which celebrities they've interviewed specifically, but we do know there's plenty of celebrity-filled tapes that are being sold behind closed doors right now because lawyers came out on national TV talking about it. We've seen people talk about seeing the tape with him and J-Lo, Justin Bieber, and who knows who else is on there that he could be referencing.
Your wife did a few movies, did she? That was a long time ago. What are you trying to say? Oh, nothing. Just talking to an old friend. You know, I haven't talked to friends in a long time. It seemed like they forgot about me. Let's make sure they keep it that way.
Here, I think it's pretty clear Diddy's referencing how none of his friends that he was close to have even spoken up about him, which is kind of crazy. Even when asked about it in person, those like Kevin Hart, Rihanna, people who've been to all his parties, have all stayed quiet.
Hey, Kay, when you hosted for Diddy, did you catch any baby oil?
You'll see
I hosted for Diddy. Yes, the wrong person, the wrong question.
Rihanna, did you attend any of P. Diddy's parties? Were you involved in any of the freak-off?
Do you have any comments about P. Diddy, the allegation?
You don't need to speak out against this Diddy thing. What's your take now? John, you made a statement about Diddy. What? Jason, hey, my man, do you have any reaction to the Diddy scandal? Any reaction? No reaction? How's everything going? Everything good. Is Hollywood going to survive this Diddy thing? Like, don't worry. Will you respond? She wants to respond. Look at it. I want to ask about the Diddy scandal. Have you ever heard of anything such?
Go.
No? Is the Baldwin family at all concerned about Justin Bieber with this P. Diddy thing?
Now, one could say that he has them on tapes and that's why they're all quiet. Because how hard would it be to say, I have nothing to do with this Diddy case. I didn't go any parties or do anything wrong. He'll have his day in court to prove his innocence. I'm not involved in any way. I don't think that's that difficult, especially with how media trained all these celebrities are.
Let's make sure they keep it that way. Man, what's the point of this? I told you everything's straight. Good. And make sure you keep the worm food away from my house while I'm gone. It gets messy. Too many insects start digging around. Remember when I cleaned up the worm food around your house? I kept a sample in case you need it.
I don't know what
Ooh.
he's using this saying that he has blackmail and that he will use it if need be in a threatening manner, which happens to be what the DA shared as proof during the bail hearing that Cassie presented text messages showing that Diddy threatened to release freak-off tapes of her if she didn't do what he asked.
I kept a sample in case you need it. Listen, don't push your limits, pup. I ain't the one to play with. You in there, and I'm out here. And don't have another Kit Kat. It's bad for you. She made me gain weight and get on board again. Maybe pull some strings again for health.
Diddy keeps pushing forward He
Damn.
code word saying that Kit Kat, she made him gain weight. So Kit Kat is definitely a word for a person, and it's a woman, obviously, because he called her a she. He also mentions the number 44 to pull some strings, and that makes sense if you think Barack Obama was the 44th president. And Suge Knight actually made a comment that him and Diddy had deals before to get his friends out of prison.
Yeah, he got powerful people. One of his partners who started his company with money, President Obama, got him out of prison. So it's not like she don't have no moves.
Diddy's just been too confident, even from prison, and that's what the DA has been saying through their paperwork. He continues to break the rules consistently to his advantage, not worrying about what anybody will say, because he believes he's above the law and the rules don't apply to him.
First of all, you need to watch your mouth. You know who you're talking to? Second of all, this the they got you in this in the first place. You always think that you're bigger than what you really are. You need to stop trying to fight the hand that feeds you, and you wouldn't be in this position. And you don't got what you think you got.
See, this made me think of before any of this.
Wow.
Rumors say began Diddy's downfall.
Wow.
That's when he decided to sue Diageo, one of the biggest liquor brands in the world, who owns Ciroc and De Leon, and paid him a yearly salary to promote their products. But Diddy wanted ownership, and as soon as he opened a lawsuit against them, all these problems started to mount on him. I think Diddy just thought and still thinks he has so much power because he has so many big name people on cameras doing things at his parties. But so did Jeffrey Epstein. He had many huge names taking plane rides to his island where there were also cameras everywhere. Somehow, nobody ever saw those tapes, and he ended up offing himself before his trial started. And the prison.
Wow, that phone call. Wow. Okay, let me see. That was my first time listening to that phone call.
At the same time, I feel one of the biggest mistakes he made was going against the liquor and alcohol guys. And bootleg has been around. That started with the Kennedys. Right. Kennedys became president because they started with bootlegging, was liquor. And they gave him an opportunity to get into that business. But he did a great job in it. A lot of people thought Ciroc they didn't know what it was, and they thought it was nasty. And all of a sudden, he started promoting it and marketing it, and became big. And he bullshit gave him $1,000. He never gave him nothing. After it came amazing big, at the same time, he wanted more of the pie. I'm not saying he didn't deserve the more of the pie. I didn't say he did because I went in that meeting. What I did know, when they didn't give me what he wanted, he turned around and told him that he was going to sue him. He was going to tell him he played the black card. I'm going to say you guys are racist. I think once he told him that they was racist, they felt a certain kind of way, like saying, wait a minute, we was good to you, now you're going to call us racist. And you know as well as I know, one of the fastest ways to just destroy a brand is somebody a racist. Child are racist. And so I'm quite sure they took it as he trying to destroy them. And the oldest saying in the world is that if you live in a glass house, don't start a rock fight. Right. So when he started a rock fight, that opened up the box for them to go look. Since he had the skeletons in his closet, they attacked him. And one thing led to another, one thing led to another. But Puffy always participated. A lot of his people participated in law enforcement. So I guess they figured, this is a guy that gave the key to the city. This is a guy that they know for a fact his company was built with drug money. They know for a fact his partners ended up in federal prison for consuming cocaine. Everybody knew for a fact that he got them appointed to get out of prison. federal prison and gave him, yeah, he got out, the opportunity to make money in this company. So that's not a regular mother from the ghetto who just jumps in the water and just swims land. That's somebody from the ghetto that always had a past and always had favors from the law enforcement to do what he wanted to do.
Facts.
While we swimming, get to the land, he was getting a ride on the boat. Big difference. And how you can know that to be factual facts. There was a situation where I got plucked out of prison. So when I got plucked out of prison, we go into the Soul Train. At the Soul Train Award, you have Puffy and Bad Boy and Biggie. At the awards, you got me and Pac in the same vehicle, and we all going to the awards. Now we probably had close to 100 guys from Compton, all in sweatshirts. In fact, we all was in ghetto wear. And you had a whole bus full of guys from the Bay. We all heading to the Soul Train Awards. There was a guy that did security for us that called the police at the Soul Train Awards. And hey, you might not want to let them in. They coming to the awards, and we deep. How long was a Judas move, but it happened. When we got to the gates to get into the awards, they said, like, if Pac come in, we might come in, or we might can't come in. We leave our vehicles. One of my Hummer was in, was blocking the driveway. Everybody else was on the street. The vehicles was left at the street. We had to get through by foot. As we coming in, they trying to come out. We all seen Puffy run and go out of limbo. At the same time, police was on us.
Wow.
And we having this altercation to get past the police. A guy pulls a gun. The guy pulls a gun was a gang member from Compton on a different side of us. Nobody panicked, but they knew where he's from. They knew what happened. So when they said that, crazy thing about all this is that they knew what gang this guy was from. I'm not saying the gang, but it's only obvious. If you want to know, it's no puzzle because it's a police report. They take this guy with a gun. Nothing happens. Everything go away. Now, move forward. When we got shot in Vegas, they say it's the same gang that's with Puffy.
Wow.
Nothing happened.
Wow.
And when the guy involved in, when they saying you the guy who's involved with the shooting, Tupac and Tupac dead. I got a bullet into my skull. Whatever it is, what it is. But at the same time, there was a warning copy.
Wow. Wow. Okay, that was. We got. I think we got two more. I wanted to get to that the trial, but I might just do a. Just give me a moment. Dang, I wonder why it didn't pop up yet. Oh, this is a list of the participants at his parties. Oh, the baby, French Montana, Neo, Burner Boy, because they said him and Burner Boy got it in. Michelle Obama, ASAP Rocky, Drewski, Drewski, Michael Jackson, Robert De Niro. These are people, list of people at the party. Eminem, Biggie, Bill Cosby, DJ Khaled, Swally, Willard Christopher, Jason DeWolf, Keisha, Quincy Jones, City Girls, Kim Kardashian, Devin Haynes, Akon, Tank, Alicia Keys, excuse me, Tyrese, Sweetie, Tupac, Meek Mill. Well, we know he was there, right? Chris Brown, T.D. Jakes. We know that too. Ryan Garcia, Magic Johnson, Kyle Kuzma, Rihanna, Kyle Lyles, Saucy Santana. They say him and Saucy Santana got together. Naomi Campbell, Maluma, Mark Wahlberg, Busta Rhymes. We know he. I'm sure he was. I did a video on him not too long ago. LeBron James, and we know we seen him on IG. Can't wait for the party. Lisa Left Eye Lopez, Martha Stewart, my girl, Ben Stiller, Shaquille O'Neal. I can't stand that music. I think.
Can you reach out yet? Nah, he ghosting.
Even though Jay-Z has been quiet about Diddy since it all started going downhill for him, it looks like the two of them might still be in contact. Recently, a phone call between Jay-Z and Diddy allegedly got leaked, and it doesn't sound like Jay-Z will actually be helping his old friend anytime soon. But what exactly was said in that alleged phone call? And where do Jay-Z and Diddy actually stand now? Since September 2024, Diddy's new home has been the New York Metropolitan Detention Center. His legal team has tried to get him out on bail multiple times, even going as far as offering to pay the maximum bail fee so that Diddy could be free for the time being. But each time, the prosecutors present a better case as to why there should be no bail. Recently, it was leaked that Diddy was making some phone calls to his best friend, Jay-Z. The interesting thing is that ever since the Diddy allegations came out, Jay-Z has been awfully quiet about everything. But that's not exactly surprising, because everyone knows that if Diddy is found guilty, Jay-Z might be next in line to go down. Everyone believes that Jay-Z not only knows about what Diddy has been doing, but he's also been an active participant. But his friendship with Diddy seems to be the last thing on his mind lately, and Diddy might just make him regret that. I mean, just take a look at all the years he's facing. If things go badly for him, he could even get a life sentence. But if he works with the feds and gives out information on other elites in Hollywood, it could make his sentence a little bit lighter. And who better to start with than his long-lost best friend, Jay-Z? Now, you might think that he wouldn't do this, but in a leaked phone call between Diddy and his son, it sounded very likely. According to Sportskeeda and the alleged call, Diddy gave his son, Christian Combs, some strict instructions. He told Christian not to say much while they were on the call, and then he told him to get rid of the pizza boxes and to recycle the plastic. Now, it's obvious that Diddy was trying to hide the true meaning of what he wanted his son to do, but Christian seemed to understand it just fine and said that he would do it. Since hearing the conversation, a lot of people have been speculating just what it means, and some said that the pizza boxes might be linked to the infamous Pizzagate, which one might be Jay-Z, and he also supposedly uses three-way calls.
Oh, I thought that they was gonna actually talk about. Man, where is that? I just, yeah, I ain't like that video. All right, let me get to this because I gotta. Okay, I'm gonna just play one of these on the recap of the trial. Let me see because I already said what I said.
Has married, right? And uh, both of these people.
No, I don't want to talk about that. I'm gonna delete that.
Back to New York. Is that what happened? What happened? Well, I visit him in the Trump Hotel in Columbus Circle. If they do freak offs in Trump Hotel, he's not going to be happy about that. And in what hotels in New York? Trump Hotel, they had freak offs? Oh, gross. Trump. Did you do that? Yes. John put it on his nipples. Diddy trial. Day 2, we have Cassie Ventura taking the stand. Here is an artist rendering of what it looked like. First thing you might notice, she's pregnant, which is going to be very sympathetic for the jurors. And there was a lot that went down today, including talks about freak-offs and baby oil and all of that. We'll go through the latest of what happened inside the courtroom, courtesy of Matthew Russell Lee. Inner City Press, who kicks the day off with the judge entering. Door bursts open. All rise, says the clerk. Here comes the judge. Everybody
Okay, I don't like that one. Mm-mm. No, I need a short one to end this hour. Is that same video?
Back to New York. Is
Yep,
that what happened?
it
What
is.
happened?
Shoot, let me get that. Yeah, I don't like how he do his stuff. Tory Lane's about to get out of prison. Let me see if this is a quick one.
Prosecutor, what did he show you? Cassie, freak-off videos. He played them for me on one of his laptops. He said he'd release them. So day 2 of the Cassie testimony was gripping, and the freak-off videos took center stage, at least at one point. And I gotta say, I'm a little bit surprised at something that we talked about yesterday, which is the prosecution has to complete a circle. They have to show not just that Cassie engaged in these freak-offs or other things that are relevant to the criminal charge, but that it was done with force or coercion related to the charge, which generally these freak-offs. That circle has not completely.
It's all happened.
Cassie feared. This is really
oh,
critical.
thank you, Humble.
That Diddy would release some of these freak-off videos unless she did certain things. She begged Combs to delete anyone else. See, the problem with that is seeing someone else is not the criminal charge. Now, that sounds to me, if it's true, that it's extortion. I mean, that's a crime. And if they said that I'm going to release these videos if you continue to see this guy, that's extortion. And he should be prosecuted for that. The problem is this isn't an extortion case. That's a state crime. This is a federal prosecution. And we have to show, or the prosecution has to show, that he engaged in these criminal acts. And we're talking about the various freak-offs, allegations of rape and everything else, with interstate commerce under force or coercion. So that's what the prosecution needs to show. So let's look at this. Ventura says at one point, they were at the Cannes Film Festival, and Diddy accused her of stealing drugs. And when he accused her, she says he threw her off his boat and then showed her and then they get on an airplane somehow to go home. Cassie is asked by prosecutors, what happened at Cannes? She says, Sean may have taken drugs from his boat. He threw me up, but my passport was still in the boat. And the prosecutor says, and you were on the carpet that same night? She says, yes. Did you attend the movie? Yes. How'd you get back to New York? She says, on a commercial flight. I traded my seat to get away from him, but he traded to get next to me. Prosecutor, what did he show you? Cassie, freak-off videos. He played them for me on one of his laptops. He said he'd release them. Now you would expect her to say, or prosecutors to ask, release them unless you did what? That wasn't asked. That wasn't asked. It wasn't that he would release the videos unless you participated in the next freak-off. Nothing like that is said. The prosecutor just jumps to, how did you feel? She says, trapped. Prosecutor, when you landed in New York, what did you do? Cassie, we went to dinner. Then he wanted to have a freak-off. So we had a freak-off. Prosecutor, why did you do it? Not threaten me. You see, again, if this is true, Diddy is beyond horrific.
Right.
She never says Diddy threatened to release the videos unless I participated in that freak-off. She had in her head that she feared he would threaten her, but there's no connection to that freak-off. If there were, to me, it would be case closed. It would be case closed because it's force and coercion, I think. But that wasn't said. So the circle we're talking about was not completed. I want to give you another one. This was an exchange between the prosecutor and Cassie. What happened next? They're talking about, she said, she was seeing her now husband, the man she's married to. And the prosecutor says, well, what happened next? So this is when Sean knows she's seeing him. Cassie says, Sean came to
beginning of this because I gave a recap, but this is just TMZ, saying what I already
eyes were
said.
black. It was like taking something from you. Prosecutor, you cried. What did Sean do? Cassie. He continued, finished. Then he got up and left. Prosecutor, did you ever have sex with him again? Cassie, yes, voluntarily. We had a good night. I went back to his house. Prosecutor, can you explain why you did that after he raped you? Cassie, we'd been together for 10 years. Well, look, if he raped her, it doesn't matter whether he is with her or not. That's rape. It is a state crime for which he could be prosecuted, assuming there's a statute of limitations that did not run.
Facts.
But this isn't a state case. It is a federal case involving sex workers who are transported for commercial purposes for these freak-offs that require proof of force or coercion. So what I'm getting at is the prosecutor is pulling out of her a lot in terms of horrific behavior. She is pulling out, the prosecutor is pulling out of Cassie various crimes he's committed. But in terms of completing the circle, I just don't know that that's happening. I want to go on a little further. So this is just unbelievable. The prosecutor, what did Sean ask you to do on your 29th birthday? Cassie, a freak off. She says, he had me pulled out of the Blind Dragon, a restaurant, for a freak off. And then the prosecutor doesn't follow through. When they say pulled through, or when Cassie says he had me pulled out of the Blind Dragon, well, maybe you're getting something there. Pulled out. What does that mean? Like physically taken out, told you got to leave right now? Because that could show the elements of force and coercion. At least when seeing these transcripts, the prosecutor didn't button that up. I mean, that sounds like it's getting close to force and coercion. If she's going out of her 29th birthday party because he's forcing her to have a freak off. If that's the case, this may be as close as I've seen, at least so far in the transcripts today. But it's not like delivered with a bow, although it's getting there.
Yeah, I'm going to end that there, but I'm going to tell you something. He might get off. It definitely ain't no Rico. I never heard of a Rico of one. Yeah, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I'm coming right back with Big U. Thank y'all. I appreciate my new subscribers because I'm trying not to keep my